Howdy y'all. So this isn't necessarily a tutorial about how to use a static grass applicator or make tufts or any of that. This is just a explanation of how I use simple composition techniques to arrange them to make them look as realistic as possible. So I'm modeling South Florida, but I've lived along the eastern seaboard my whole entire life, and I've been from Maine to Key West, and this picture could easily represent anywhere along that line. It could be Cape Cod, the Hamptons, Myrtle Beach, Daytona, Miami. They all have this basic sand dune covered in crabgrass kind of wild dune look to them. I've chosen this particular black and white photo because it really illustrates the three basic components of good composition, which is your foreground, your subject, and your background. And this also utilizes negative space for your foreground and your background, which really helps enhance your subject, which in this case is the crabgrass. There's a random order to nature, and to try to follow that order always makes it more realistic. So if you look at grass growing, usually where it's mostly concentrated is where it's going to be your highest and your thickest. And as it starts to disperse, that's where you get your little leaders and your little sprouts and seedlings coming up through the grass, and it gets more sparse and lower. Doing it in that order helps create that illusion of height and distance and mass. Also, using different lengths and different colors of grass, different types, will enhance that illusion as well. The other reason that I chose this photo is because of its simplicity. I'm one of those people that always wants to add more, and sometimes I have to remind myself that simple things can catch the eye. And I always like to think of great composition. If you want to learn great composition, learn the masters. Just go to an art museum. Walk around. You look at something like Monet. He didn't paint a lily pad. He's hoping that you know what a lily pad looks like, and he's going to give your eye just enough to trick your brain into seeing a lily pad. Just with a few brushstrokes, and that's, you could do the same thing with. In this case, static grass or models or whatever. I mean, sometimes it just takes a hint. I mean, if you draw a circle on a piece of paper, what does it take to make your brain see the moon or a basketball or an orange? How much do you have to put there to trick your brain into seeing something completely different? Sometimes it's not that much. I mean, in just a few lines, and you could turn it into a baseball or whatever. So I always try to think of things like that because I'm the one that tends to want to put the most things in there. It's something you learn over time. Anyway, these are just simple concepts. If you look at this, the foreground has minimal in it. It's got a little bit of scattered grass. The background just looks like a gray sky, and then you've got your crabgrass growing through the grass. Now, this was my first attempt using Woodland Scenic static grass, and I think it came out pretty good. What do you think?